defense, we've seen it played around 11 times, I think, 11 or 12 times, and if it was 12, something like 4 or 5 out of the 12 were the ones were the wins for the defense. So it's not a 50-50, but it's something close to a 65 or 70% win rate for the attackers on it, which is pretty darn strong to say the least. But
for a site that we expected to be a lot of people's primaries now.
Yeah. Well, Thatcher's going to be banned, and Nomad as well. It's Liquid that bans the Nomad.
Thatcher's an interesting choice, because there's not a lot of places where Thatcher is absolutely necessary on this. It's down to more of a strategy in terms of being able to lock down areas. I imagine Echo ban, though, totally normal. But with the Nomad ban, that means we could see the Gridlock played in its stead if they really feel like they need to control flanks. And Mirror ban, of course. These are just kind of auto bans, it seems, for a lot of teams, Mirror and Echo. It's just, I mean, that's what we saw last match as well. In fact, literally 3/4 of these bans are the same as they were on Clubhouse last match. The only difference being Nomad switched out for Hibana. So that should be interesting. We will start upstairs, which is, I think, still the better bomb site at the moment, just off of going off Monday. And Moringa actually going to be the one to take up Gridlock potentially. Sexcake going to be playing that line, something he played quite a bit previously when Lion was still in play, and I think a big part contributed a fair amount to their success when they won the LAN, but he's actually going to 6-pick off of it.
Yeah.
The Clash going to come in and 6-pick off as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be a COD selected at the end, I believe.
Well, the COD and Mute, to me, this is where we're going to see why they banned Thatcher. Right? This has got to be the demonstration, because you 6-pick to that for a reason, to be something that is specifically going to be dealt with normally with Thatcher. But we will get to see that Gridlock, because they definitely wanted that roam control, and the Nomad ban is something that's going to slow them down on that.
So one thing that happened actually in EU, I believe it was the first game. Let me check my bans. Yes, it was. On game number 1, Penta versus Navi, we had the Hibana ban as well, and it really had a big effect on the attacking side in some of the sites. Later on, we didn't really see any of that, but more often than not, we'd see both Hibana and Thermite play together. We still have a similar way of attacking on this site. Open up the hatch over the red staircase, drop from there, open up your wall into piano, take control of that area, then open up the second wall to ingress into the freezer. That's usually how it's been done in the past, and that's how it's continued so far.
The big difference now, though, of course, is the balconies that you can use, the second extra hatch that you could drop down to the balcony. That gives you an extra angle and extends, because so many fights were over Cigar Lounge before. Now Cigar is even more powerful because it extends out to that balcony that gives you new angles onto bar. We'll see, though, how they actually go for this attack. Claymore's getting set up now that Claymores are playable again, thankfully.
So, Claymores?
Big part of this game.
Is it outside?
It's funny to think they weren't even in the initial launch of the game, you know? They're so crucial to the game at this moment. Same with impacts.
Only OGs will remember. Oh my god. Watching back at year 1 VODs and seeing, why are they using a C4, an Enter Cell to open up a wall? And they remember, oh, impacts didn't exist.
Thankfully, there was a fair amount of C4 available at that time, but...
You know, smoke C4 back when, Ubisoft, please.
Now, Astro playing all the way down here in the bakery. He is waiting in just one position. This is completely dependent on callouts to know when to go. He's not playing the fluid, sort of flexible roam around for the most part. He's just trying to control this one area, which says to me he's going to go up red stairs for a flank potentially late on. You see him already moving kind of towards it to control the bottom half of it. But it's really going to be timing-centric. But Astro on a Jaeger is definitely strong to do that.
Still taking their time, and Moringa will bring the F90, something that we've seen Uno even playing only a few days ago, basically, a couple days ago here in EU. We did see the 249 ran as well, but F90 definitely is a pretty good selection, a pretty good choice.
Good use of the tracks as well, setting them down, being able to use them from above to set up and control the bar area a bit more in terms of movement. That will definitely potentially pay off.
Right at the last second, Sexycake will fall off the angle here into piano. We'll force one defender back. No, he can't use Super Shorty at that range. But Nesk in a pretty good location here with his drone, actually. I want to see how he's able to get on there. That's pretty cool, if you ask me. But still, opener onto the piano area itself. Second set of track stingers thrown down into the bar to lock down anybody that wants to move and maneuver around the freezer area. Nesk will swat one player in the back. Oh, he threw the drone over there. I think either that or just was able to bounce him up to the ledge. Yeah, this is pretty nice position, to be honest. And still, one drone destroyed on by the hallway, and Ion staying back, also with the shield to protect him, and can use the tiny sliver to advantage to peek out and get one gunfight.
Well, they're both just, I mean, FaZe has completely surrounded this bar. They need to start picking off at least individual players.
There's not a lot of time left on here, and Mav's just going to lock things down. You wish you had a Trax or even a Capital in this location to push him away. C4 from below will not connect. No damage done. The second will connect, though, from FaZe. It's Astro, Mav. Find another Yuna with a double kill. Yuna with a triple, with a flawless round of FaZe Clan. The defense just untouched for the entirety of the round until the final rush. Very easy to predict the singular angle where your opponents will be coming from. It's just Liquid entered into Piano, and they're like, okay, well, what do we do now? And then they couldn't get that fridge door, the freezer door, opened up, so they couldn't move in from Piano into it and deal with the
Well, that's the strategy of the Thatcher ban. That's what we saw, is basically set up that entire U sort of shape around the bar, complete defense, just play very turtle, stop them from being able to open the walls by banning the Thatcher, playing the mute and the Kaid. And like you said, yeah, they couldn't get through that. They couldn't get to freezer, and once they couldn't do that, they couldn't pick any individual player to create a hole in the defense. And it was just very well played by FaZe in terms of patience, playing for that. And then once the XQ started to go down, they just unleashed hell on Liquid. Looks like we will see a good old Elite Legion here being played as well by Mav. But they're going down to Kitchen now. We'll see if they can successfully defend downstairs here. I'm calling it Bakery just more for historic sake. It's more of the Kitchen now, whereas the bombs have been moved out of the Bakery, but still kind of known as the Bakery. We'll see the Kaid again, this time without the mute, though. And again with the Gridlock. This time, though, Sexcake going to be on the Habana without 6 picking it, I believe.
Yeah, it was 6 pick off the line. So we stick to the same operators, and these operators run really, really well on this site as well. I think you can pretty much run them for every single site. It can work pretty effectively. There's a flawless round again on round number 1, so a lot of work here to be done by Liquid, but they are used to these sorts of things and should be able to recover. Still, of course, very early to call anything when it comes to not only this match between these two Titans in the region, but also the fact that, well, this is Cafe, it's a brand new map. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different strategies that are still to be seen. You can't really judge too hard in the first couple weeks of having it in play.
Yeah, definitely the case. Well, they are at least controlling the top floor here. They need to start getting into it, of course. It's only been 30 seconds in. But if they can take top floor control fast, that will definitely help in terms of starting to push their way down. And that's one of the things I was talking about, is the top-down control for this. But Astro doing the exact opposite of what he did last round, playing upstairs instead. But decides to play it back a little safer, which is good. Stay alive here in this case, and that's what they did last round.
A bit of influence from a player like Joystick, just continue to move around the entire time. Really, Astro is one of the players that started to do this quite a while ago, if you remember, even before Brazil was part of the entire Pro League system. So it's just living through his normal times, I guess. The tracks are going to be thrown down. These connecting to the brown stairs, so you can lock things down from below. We saw 2 players downstairs by the bar. They were just trying to move up. At some point, tracks will definitely slow them down.
Well, we'll see if those come into play. Those are great in their flexibility, though. Astro just playing it safe still. It's surprising to see the lack of aggression from a Jaeger roamer.
The amount of holes that are opened up here for the defenders to play with. Nitro Cell will not be thrown up here. It's very difficult to hear it from the top just because there's not a lot of holes opened up near it. But it is a wall or a top that you can use to your advantage here on the ceiling to blow out your opponent. Still no information, and it will connect. Nope.
That's going to work against them at this point. Now there's going to be more holes for them to work with from above.
Of course, bringing the sledge definitely helps out in this situation. I'm not sure if the Zofia is bringing breaching charges. It's a Claymore. So what some teams also will do is just bring the buck, and it works very, very well. Mav will be the first one eliminated, but at this point, all the glue mines have been dispatched, and hopefully it's in a place where it could have any sort of positive effect. 40 seconds left. There's not a lot here, but Liquid need to maneuver ASAP.
Well, good start here. FaZe finally has shown some weakness.
That's 1 player down, at least on the site. Yuna eliminated Mav, taken down behind the bar. And now it's time to open up the fridge here for the entrance. Moringa with another. It's a double kill for him. Astro will get one. Nesk on the trade, I guess, against the Ion, I guess. And there you go. Sexy Cake for the last one entering the site. Cameraman will be shot down. And Team Liquid will find their first point. We're expecting this to go this way. The attacking side on kitchen definitely proving to be the more effective one.
I mean, it's this methodical top-down take that teams are generally used to. I mean, usually attackers always have an advantage in top-down attacking versus defenders. Defenders, of course, can rotate down, but they can never repel up. So they're in a situation where they're kind of trapped as they slowly move down, despite, you know, having stairwells. Stairwells have been moved around a little bit. The red and white are still in the same place, but the brown got moved. And they're trying to use that extra flexibility to try and move around, but Liquid was just very, very methodical in how they took it. They took the top floor, pushed Astro out, took the middle floor, pushed Astro out, pushed people back down, and then just used the angles from above. All that soft destruction really working out in their favor. You saw even the C4 that was supposed to be used against them, just the poor timing of it, leading to a situation where it actually just benefited Liquid. This time, though, they're going to have the pulse, but they are going to be playing in the new bomb site, Reading Rooms. Now, of course, there's the bomb site of Train or Mining, which has the bomb in the dining room. So that part is the same as the other bomb site. The big difference, of course, is moving from Mining to the Reading Room itself, where the B bomb site is. And that should be very interesting. You see some holes being set up to defend in there as well, or possibly even for retakes from the red hallway. But they're going to have to control from the top here. This is very important that this round FaZe holds the top a lot more than they did potentially last round.
This is why a lot of sites on this map remind me so much of Coastline.
Yeah.
Because of the setups and the way where you really have to hold the floor above.
The difference is you have 3 floors in this versus Coastline's 2.
Exactly. So in here, you really have to, as you mentioned, take control of the top floor. You always need to, just to kind of slow down your opponents. But having the pulse is definitely going to be great for the defense to just have information and potentially an extra bit of nitrosol to use. But you have to deal with people on the top floor, and it just so happens that breaking down attacks that are coming from the top floor or onto it itself is much easier than you think. There's just, you saw in the very first round, it's very difficult for the attackers to walk in the couple angles that they really have. And in this case, they also have to fight against time because the site is downstairs in Reading and in Dining.
Well, luckily for Liquid, attacking the top of red stairway is so common. They're used to it in terms of being able to get in there. It's not a big deal for that part. But yeah, taking control of the rest of it seems to be the difficulty. And mute jammers as well, making it a little bit hard for them to get that intel they need to make this push. They seem a little uncertain as to where FaZe is playing at. And of course, they've got to worry about the pulse as well in case they go to jump in and they don't know what his position is or what he's doing. Looks like PSK also having trouble deciding which wall to blow. Maybe some miscommunication going on there.
Well, he wants to open the one up that leaves the red stairs themselves kind of locked down, I guess. Just gives you a tighter angle when you're walking on up. But there's still a player up here. I mean, look at the amount of time, Devin. Oh, no, it's XK.
That's going to burn some time.
Oh, there's so much time being burned here. Nesk is nowhere near entering the opposite end. Grenade's going to be thrown here just to destroy an evil eye, and I'm not even sure if that hit anything. Frag Grenade's going to get thrown again, and that should have connected. Looks like it.
Doesn't even realize the player is right next to it, playing with that shield, which is still up as well. They really need that Zofia to take out that shield, potentially.
Gives this position away, but there you go, that's the Zofia. It's going to destroy the shield for just a moment, but there's still rotations in from FaZe to hold things down. Bonus going to open up an extra angle around the fridge, and Nesk will actually come in for a fight. He'll find one kill and a second headshot from Nesk to take down Astro, and then that is a shot if I've ever seen one. Suddenly, this whole 40 seconds left, yeah, it still works out positively in your situation if you're Liquid. Mav will connect with the C4 on a Moringa and take down the gridlock. At least one of the tracks were left in the back pocket, cannot be used.
The important thing, though, is now the Pulse is much less of a threat. He could be an intel operator, but that was his C4 taken off the board. Now they just need to start pushing more horizontally if they can take control of the middle floor. But with 20 seconds left, they're not doing a fantastic job of it yet, other than blowing this wall.
Yeah, at least that's one thing that they can work with here, Team Liquid. Sexy Cake will find one, turn it into 4v2. Turning around for the angle, his cameraman will find one, but Nesk, as he turns in, it's Mav that's looking the wrong way. And Liquid will find the second round of the board. It all looked so well for FaZe early on until Nesk existed, which is actually something that happens more often than you think.
Nesk existing?
Nesk existing and having a massive effect on a round.
Yeah, no, it was great too because you got to see him use both weapons as well. You got the 2 kills with the L85 first, then the SMG11 there at the end for the close range fight. some good flexibility on him. You see why he keeps running that sledge. He's also opening up a lot of movement for his team, giving them the flexibility when they finally take a floor, being able to really move around on it, as well as opening up the floors themselves. So he's definitely making good use of that operator. Moringa, though, finally going to change off of it, of course, teasing the gridlock to the other team, to FaZe, and then sneaking the Capitao, something we actually haven't seen from them yet, but we've seen the power of sometimes just... We didn't really see a lot of Capitao power in that last match, despite him being brought out. We expected a little bit more from it. This should be a little bit stronger, though, on this particular bomb site, especially with the way fire spreads. You can actually even control, for example, a bit more of the freezer area because you can get that firebolt in and have it spread a bit more. Same with behind the bar and a few other spots. So now they've just got to figure out, okay, we know how FaZe defend this. They turtle up in that sort of U shape. They have everything reinforced well enough. They have the bandit, the mute and the Kaed. What can we do now to start to crack that shell of that turtle? If they can start to crack the shell of the turtle and take out a player or two of Liquid, say within the first 2 minutes, a player or two of FaZe, I think Liquid could take it. If they can't, we could see a repeat of that first round.
Definitely a possibility in here. Now the Capitao is going to be the big change. So the gridlock kind of realized it's not really doing too much. So you switch around to it. Moringa really needs to be careful of how he uses those crossbow bolts, but locking things down here on B, you can really push. What we saw Yuna running with the Maestro behind the shield, that's really the big change that Liquid will employ. Now, obviously, they have the 249 with that sight, which gives them a lot of firepower if they want to enter on it, or be just more aggressive, or just fire at anything, because it's so clear and so easy to use compared to back in the day with the ACOG on its own. But also, you can use your smoke bolts, clear things out, don't allow the Maestro to really fight you as you go in for a plant. You can be safer when you plant by the bar, but they still have to deal with the fridge, and that's really what I'm afraid of for Liquid.
Yeah, and maybe it's the case where if there's some of the reinforcements that don't go all the way up to the top of the wall, they might be able to drop some firebolts in from above, and that's what the Capitao is a bit more flexible in some of that, in terms of how he's able to get some of those angles. Same with getting behind those deployable shields that you see set up as part of the defense. It's just a matter of getting to the right angles. Yeah, you do see on that freezer wall, you can see above it there some of the destruction that could be used by Capitao to benefit getting around some of those angles, getting on the other side of the walls that they cannot seem to be able to breach. We'll see if the thermite ends up even being useful. But minute 30 left pretty much at this point, and they're still getting a little stalled out by mute jammers. FaZe just playing smart here. Again, not overexposing themselves, not losing anyone early. And that 2 minutes coming up here soon in terms of not getting any kills for Liquid and possibly being a repeat of that first round.
See if those Gilas, the Electro Claws, really hit on to the freezer itself. That'll definitely be something that'll slow Liquid down, but Neska's kind of looking to just maneuver into the set itself. And there's nobody by the cocktail bar so far. Sexy Cake will bait out a bit of fire, but they already know that there's at least one on the opposite end of that hallway, and make it two in this case. Ion now is in this position. The Maestro is a bit further away with control by the mute on the bottom of the white stairs. It's a great vault here to use if you're the Jaeger. It's very difficult. The angle that you can see on the attack is barely anything, really. And Moringa can plant if he moves into the exact position. Nesk will chuck one grenade, and then the second one will be thrown all the way in the back to destroy the shield. The smoke will vault right over the wall, over the head of Nesk. Is being tagged by the Maestro on the evil eye. Ion, Cameraman, and FaZe just in general getting kills here on Liquid. Cameraman with one more on Paulo. Diffuser is on the floor, and Sexy Cake is the last man alive. Not for long. It's a repeat of what we had before. It's a flawless round for the second time up in the cocktail bar. And man, Liquid really did not learn that lesson. It was such an idea to just move Nesk through the smoke, but then Maestro exists.
And it was a great play too, because he pushed ahead of the toxic gas to move through the smoke that they deployed. So it was a smart play, but yeah, the Maestro Evil Eye making short work of it and then finished off by the smoke itself. Just unfortunate, and it's lucky for Liquid that FaZe can only play that bomb site twice if they win it. So now they don't have to deal with that again. We go back down to Kitchen for a second, try that. But we are where we expected. Tie between these two. 6 picks coming out, tease of the Frost, but going to the Pulse. This time, Pulse, good choice, because last time we did see the whiffed C4 being a problem. Now it can be more accurately called out. They can take advantage of trying to better fight back against that top-down control coming out from Liquid. So slightly better position to do some work here this time. just a question of whether or not Liquid could get some of those easy picks. I'm really interested to see how Astro may or may not roam this round, and whether or not we can get some early aggression. I think that's been a little bit of a problem for FaZe is sometimes, like the top floor, playing very passive and very turtle, working out great for them. But on bomb sites like this where top-down control matters too much, we need to see more aggressive Astro.
Yeah, wherever he may roam, we'll still have to see if he can ride the lightning through this one before the round fades to black.
Well, if not, the bell tolls for them.
Well, there's enough whiskey in the jar for that one.
It's a good thing I'm not kicked, so I'd have no idea.
You know, it's been a while, Devin, hasn't it? There you go. Maybe someone has understood what reference. This is not a dark one, so people should know, okay? You can't judge me for this.
I'm sure they'll try.
Only God can judge me.
Well, we got the Gridlock coming out yet again, no Capitao this time, so it didn't really have a huge impact on that last round. I think it was a smart choice, just wasn't really impactful. I do like it for controlling some of the roamers as well, like Astro, to be able to stop them from retaking the control, and I think that's where it's very important, right? You take that middle floor, what you want to do is deny them being able to retake it while you're spending your time looking downwards through the holes that you've made, the ones that work both ways, and see if Astro can try and find some way around it. I mean, it's not like he's going to have an impact or anything to be able to take out those tracks either. So it's just a matter of whether or not those tracks get positioned well before Moringa might get himself killed.
Yeah, this top floor play here can be massive from Liquid. At least forces Astro down. There's nobody here on the outside of the bakery. What we've seen from a lot of ER and A teams is, even during the Raleigh qualifiers, is taking control of bakery and then walking in from there. Not really the case here for Latin America. And Ness playing all the way up top here in the cigar lounge. He can use the opened hatch to his advantage because, well, he does have the angle, and those are angles that are opened up by the defense. So, as a wise man once said, Devin,
yeah,
those holes, they work both ways.
They could just work 3 ways somehow. That would be great.
There you go. Hatch is going to get opened up here by the Habana. So, Sexy K kind of going off in the standard checklist. Ness spraying in, but can't find a single bullet down on the defense.
That really should have been a kill right there. Maybe he'll make up for it now. Nope. He's shooting a lot of middle bars, but at least half damage this time.
The hole is being opened up with the breaching hammer, and no! Cameraman, flicks around and finds the headshot on Nesk. At least Nesk was able to land 1 bullet into Cameraman, but man, with 52 seconds left, you're kind of starting to stall a bit too hard. If only this floor was open up on the other side of it, really would have given you a great point of view on your opponents hiding behind the A bomb sites here in the small room in the kitchen. Utility room. Mav opening up more angles into the soft wall. A lot of the tracks have been already used up here on the yellow staircase. PSK is moving in. He has Havana behind him to support. So more longer angles are being opened up as we speak by Liquid, but they're taking so much damage on the ingress. There's still 12 seconds and they're nowhere near the site itself. Finally, smoke grenades and smoke canisters are going to get used. A set thermite charge is still being opened up here. Just to walk in from the freezer, Moringa will find another kill. Smoke will be just thrown into the site. Astro will find 2, and the round is won by FaZe Clan. Astro holding his ground, red dot site or whatever it may be. The Jaegers playing behind the counter. And that's all she wrote for that round.
Well, it's pretty simple to understand why Liquid lost that round. All those missed shots from above. That's what it really came down to. The gunplay going through the floor, not going in the favor of Liquid, basically made it a complete opposite of the previous round. It also helped that they had the pulse, for example, to be able to call out the positioning of the players from above without having to peek all the holes. And I think that was definitely impactful in terms of stopping them from being able to use that top-down control to actually feel like control. It was more just a case of pressure, but that pressure never turned into a good horizontal push till the very last 20 seconds or so when it was a little late to be pressuring because too many members of FaZe were still left alive. Had it gone differently in terms of Nesk getting, say, 1 or 2 kills and not dying, I feel very confident that Liquid would have been able to take that round, but it's just a case of Nesk losing those fights really turned it around. Thankfully, he was at least able to open up a fair amount of the floor, and hopefully was able to use his grenades first, but none of them ended up in kills. So, good round from FaZe. Now we'll see if we can go for a 3-3 tie like you'd expect going into this. As we go into reading, this is another one that Liquid is able to win with that top-down control. We're going to probably see something similar again, but again, the question mark for me is, will FaZe play aggressive against that control? Will they play for more retake? We still see the gridlock coming out to stop that. To be fair, we haven't been able to see exactly how impactful those tracks have been, but I've generally been seeing the kills trickle in for Moringa as well. So regardless of the tracks, he's using his gun well, and that makes up for, hey, maybe the utilities, and the utility might just be doing its job, you just can't see anything because all it does is stop people from doing something.
And what I've seen, at least so far in the previous round, for example, you could see how the effect it had on white stairs by locking down rotations there was something used earlier on in the round, whereas in the end of it, it didn't really have an effect because you had already forced the defenders back down on the site. Yeah. So there are ways where it doesn't always function, or it functions, but it's used like a jackal track earlier on in a round or midway through it, not always by the end when there's a diffuser set, etc. PSK taking a lot of damage early on, not sure how.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to help when he's Diffuse Carrier and Hard Breach. Luckily, they have a Redundant Hard Breach in the sense that they have Sexy Cake as well, but yeah. It's interesting to me that reading seems to be their site, and they're not going to bother with mining. It's just they don't want to, they prefer this bomb site for them. It's funny to me just because mining used to be such a popular bomb site. Now, some of that, of course, was because there was only 3 bomb sites and only 2 of them were good. But Moringa just busted his way on in, and unfortunately, he's the one getting stung.
And this room, the laundry room, is exactly why a lot of teams are going to favor reading nowadays, just because you can control your opponents through there. You also have a bookcase that's on the floor, and it provides you with a lot of...
Is that penetrable?
It is,
yeah,
but it's still, as far as I know. But it is very difficult to just know if there's somebody there that can walk away from it. They have a rotation hole behind them as well. There's a lot more flexibility than what just meets the eye. And Cameraman will find one. A Sexy Cake. There's 2 players down. PSK as well as still on FHP. Nesk eliminated. And Cameraman peeks up for 1 kill on PSK, leaving Paula all on his own. FaZe looking for the 4-2, and here we go. 6 rounds in total. Now we hit the halfway point of 4-2 advantage for FaZe Clan. It might just be the defense that gives them that sort of advantage. They played Kitchen twice. It was once won by Liquid, once by FaZe. So maybe now in the reverse, we'll get to see a different style of it. And remind you again, this is the first week where we get to see Cafe played in top-tier Pro League.
Yeah.
So everybody's still figuring things out.
Here's the game changer for me that round. Here's why I think Liquid lost the round. Okay. Moringa dying early. Because what happened once Moringa died early? Cameraman and Astro went upstairs and slaughtered everyone. Because guess what? There wasn't one to stop them. The track stingers. Because of that, they were able to freely retake the top floor. Obviously, that was down to good gunplay on their part, but they surprised the heck out of the attackers upstairs, started slaughtering one after another, and all control was lost for Liquid. All because of Moringa, I mean, seizing an opportunity, don't get me wrong, but it was a misplay, and that lack of control, that lack of roam control, because of, obviously they're the ones who banned Nomad, but that lack of some flank control absolutely cost them that round. I mean, yes, things could have gone a million different ways, but that's the way I see it running down in terms of the cause and effect of losing Moringa early. Now, we do that side switch you're talking about, and the difference here is rather than bringing in Gridlock, we're going to see an IQ and Lion from Cameraman here. Lion, something we've seen quite a bit of now that he's out of quarantine. Of course, why not, right? If you get some value out of him, might as well use him. It does help that his gun's fairly decent.
Oh, yes, the V308 is definitely a hell of a gun. It's not a real, it doesn't exist in real life.
Unfortunate.
Well, one day some people will look into the way the Vector actually works with the whole recoil mitigation, but
we'll make it.
A 308 fired like that would mean some pretty serious hardware to get things working.
Yeah.
But it's still a very strong operator, very good utility, much more niche than before, for sure. And we saw it even in our first game. I mean, the whole time, Anti-Zem played him and just had no clue how to actually use him. It's not a press enter or press 4 to win.
Honestly, it's one of those things like Blackbeard that sorts of affects a fundamental part of the game. And because of that, even when you tweak it quite a bit, it's very hard to get him in a sweet spot.
Yeah.
We saw how long it took with Blackbeard as well when you deny headshots being an instant kill, for example. In this case, it's denying movement completely for a second. It's a big game changer for this game. But Nesk with a very nice long angle, going to abuse these hatches here. This is a nice play, taking advantage of that extra hatch. Will he find someone? Maybe not, but if he's just going to stick around anyways, might as well peek it, because I think he's likely to win that fight if someone does.
Yeah, they're all going to stick the position here, Liquid, so nobody's going to move away from it. Hatch and Red Stair still has not been used. We're at minute 42. There's so many holes that have been opened up by the defense, so very flexible here for Liquid. They want to use it as much as possible to their advantage. And the quick peek, no, shot from the side. Oh, cameraman just walking on in from the back of the engine room. And we'll find the kill. So now Nesk is eliminated. The Maestro has been taken away from play, but also a lot of flexibility has been taken away. Well, now all of those holes that have been opened are not as strong as you would like them to be because you can't really capitalize on them anymore. And if you want to, you need to drop one player down. That's exactly what Sexy Cake might be doing later, but PSK at least will be able to find Mab, but it would cost a lot of his HP for sure.
Yeah, we'll see here if PSK can stay alive long enough to be effective, because you do want to have a good Jaeger roam. Nice shot coming out from Mav as well, crediting that, but that is grenades down and lost. So that's going to be a little bit of an impact. Ion can still do some work with them, but PSK looks ready for this. Oh, no. Now he's going to be trapped in the freezer.
And at least there's no Capitao to worry about in this situation. That's one thing. All E1Ds have already been used, so Cameraman is now turning into a fragger, basically, but he's going to get taken down with Paolo coming in from behind him at the reading room. Ringa using his canisters to the back, but Ion already sprang through the wall, and he'll find him and take him out. Still Yuna on the floor, so now the advantage at least goes back to Liquid's phase. A lot of firepower thrown in from below. Nitro Cell in, and they'll connect Ion to go down Apollo. And Liquid will at least find round number 7 here. Save it after their loss of Nesk early on, but because the Lion couldn't stay alive downstairs, it ruined the whole assault. And that's a symptom of Old Cafe. You still need to hold part of the bottom floor if you want to be successful, unless you push all the way to the back into A.
Well, that was the case too, now of proving that so far Bar is unattackable. That's perfect. We had 2 wins for FaZe on it, now 1 win for Liquid. That was a little bit more of a scrappy defense there in terms of them playing a lot more roam play than we saw from FaZe. They were playing a lot more flexible. They did lose a few people on that, whereas FaZe would just turtle and hunker down the whole round. Liquid, though, taking a bit more chances by playing that flexible, but it still worked out in the end. I got to wonder, though, if they go back to Bar, whether or not FaZe might figure that out, might be able to win that a little bit better. Maybe some better droning, keeping the line alive longer to better control positioning. But we'll see. Again, not going to mining. They're going to go to reading second here rather than kitchen. Kitchen was FaZe's secondary, so a little bit different order, but I got to imagine maybe kitchen after this. So far, as you see, no wins by defuse plant or counter defusing. It's just going to be all deaths all around here for both teams.
May call it a death cafe, death garden.
Yep. We'll see if the line can make a difference this round, though. That was definitely something that they're doing different than Liquid did.
It's a garden, not a cafe. Not a cafe. It's a jungle. It's a jungle.
Slowly changing here over time. Cameraman and Astro, though, definitely showing up. Cameraman was one who was never really a huge top fragger for a while, but he slowly picked it up over time, I think, in terms of frags, and I think he's just been able to play top of his game in this particular match so far. But Liquid are starting to bring it back. They could bring back the tie 4-4 this round. Paolo, though, playing a very flexible roam. You saw him with the C4 kill at the end of last round as well. Just playing smart and staying alive. Something that he couldn't always do on attack.
It's very surprising, actually, to look at this from the eyes of Latin American teams, because in this case, it really is that bar that is turning out to be a tough nut to crack for the attackers, whereas with EU is a bit of a mixed bag. It wasn't always really the case that, well, the defenders would always rock up and clean up house. At least the Lion is being played again here by Cameraman. Was very effective with it in the previous round, eliminating the first player downstairs, the Maestro of Nesk, but here's going to have to do something similar to it. He's got the support of Astro, so that can help them spot out any utility that's around too.
Yeah, those black eyes especially, and Evil Eyes is going to be important. Fortunately, they don't have a Thatcher or anything to kind of help tonight. No Twitch either, surprisingly, to take out some of those.
Actually, yes. That is a very good point. I mean, Astro is definitely known for the operator, but that's why we're seeing the IQ. It makes sense. That's the logic behind it. But it's definitely unsurprising to see him playing Twitch if one day he would like to. Ion taking a bit of chip damage here off of the electrified wall, but it'll walk in and it'll spot the Maestro camera all the way in the back, and it'll switch out. Destroy. No, it's the other one. There you go. A bit of wasted utility, but the Evil Eye will get taken out. Nesk will have less support out by the A balcony, but the site, of course, is reading and dining. So that's really what you're looking for. And burning off as much time as possible as Liquid was going to try to do.
That's the problem. You still got Valkyrie upstairs, and they don't have top floor control 2 minutes in.
Mav will find one on Paulo. So there you go, that's the Valkyrie you were talking about. Nesk will spray in and take down Ion. He still keeps on spraying in, but Astro will find him. He finds another one. Oh no, Nesk and Sexy Cake taken away for free by Astro. Didn't even think there was a single flashbang even thrown in there before the assault. So the entire back was cleaned up. Liquid with PSK will try to hold on to the white stairs. Moringa, I don't know if he was spotted, but you could see the shoulder with the drone if he walked around by that location. 4 players left, and I'm pretty sure there's still at least one E1D left for Lion, so there's a lot of flexibility here for FaZe if they want to use their utility, and there you go. E1D will get used up. A quick peek, and Yuna, oh man, slaps Moringa down with a headshot. PSK last alive. There's 12 seconds left, and you can go for that plant ASAP. No impact grenades, barely a couple of goo mines left in the back pocket. Nothing for PSK to do here except for fire in. He'll find 1 kill, he'll find 2, and he turns it into 2v1. Doable, but he's unsure of where his opponents are. As one walks to the side, but cameraman drops the hatch from above, and he'll find it. That got a bit too close for comfort, to be honest, but FaZe will secure their attacking round.
Great clutch attempt. Had there been a lot less people left alive, I definitely think he could have pulled it off, but just too many flanks. But here's the problem now. I was talking about FaZe not roaming enough. Now we're getting Liquid roaming too much. They're overextending themselves. They're not being able to move back to site the way that Astro did on his roam. Because of that, they're not really doing these late round retakes that we saw FaZe finally able to kind of pull off on their defense, but Liquid are going to have to find a better way to constrain themselves to not getting picked off early, trying to hold that top floor control. Yes, hold it for a while, slow them down, but you need to stay alive in the process, and they're just losing far too many players playing far too aggressive on the upstairs. And this is another bomb site where they have to be concerned about that, the kitchen. Now, of course, they could have tried reading again instead of playing kitchen, but they're going to go ahead and switch to the third bomb site, see how they do on that. But FaZe now is 2 rounds away from taking this, 1 round from match point. So if they win this, it's definitely a lot of pressure on Liquid to win bar again and then hope they can win reading after that.
FaZe looking for 1 round to secure things here. At least that'll give them 1 point. And a reminder, as we always go deeper and deeper into the seasons, we start to understand that taking a loss or a tie here and there really starts to hurt your standings for the end of the season. Liquid had to learn that the hard way. Now 2 seasons in a row, NIP in the past season as well. So both teams here, it's not just important to win, but also to win against one of the toughest adversaries and the biggest contender to make it to the LAN finals for Japan. Because remember, we're going to Nagoya in just a few months.
It's not just the 3 points you get for beating them, it's denying them the 3 points as well.
Which means that you also need to win by as big of a margin as possible.
Yeah, you don't want the round differentials to bite you.
Exactly.
It's also down, if you end up in a tiebreaker situation, having the win on that, of course.
It's a 1v1. It's the head-to-head that decides things after the points. So if you're tied with points, it's how many rounds you've won or lost against one another.
Yep. Well, we'll see as this round gets down here. They are still trying to take that top floor control, and we got Liquid on all 3 floors here pretty much. A lot of people downstairs, of course, near the bomb site, but not as much roam from Liquid as there was previously, but having Pal up here seems like he could end up being a loss here soon, a casualty, especially if that line is used effectively again.
Still Liquid kind of moving around. There's a lot of information being gathered by FaZe, but first T1D is going to get popped, and nothing played on top of it. So cameraman here just unsure whether his opponents will actually move on to him, or it's just to allow his teammates, that's probably the case, to just enter onto the bar area here, the cocktail bar. It'll give Astro control of things alongside Mav. Pre-fire into the wall. There's a bit of damage done to Paula here in the cotton, but Ion is unable to finish him off. Oh, Sexy Cake holding the angle. This is why it's so deadly when you try to fight against anyone, especially with an SMG up in those stairs.
They also changed the bars to being those like solid panels, and that makes a big difference in how you fight those stairs.
Because before, half your bullets would just disappear into these unobtainium rods.
Yeah. It looks more ornate nice now, too.
And this is, again, a kitchen defense, so a lot of firepower and a lot of manpower in general has been put on this floor here by reading. it's to really delay things. And by the 50th second left, I mean, they've already gotten a kill. And even if Ness dies here for nothing, it would still be completely worth it. Oh, he's going to catch one. Ah, that's Thatcher. That's a Thermite. That's a huge kill. And the diffuser is dropped on the floor.
Last the E1D popped as well. They have no more.
And what does it matter? Astro, you might have gotten the kill, but he takes a lot of damage in this one, loses the Thermite. Diffuser is still upstairs, and they're still being peeked as we speak. You can see the tip of the barrel here. Astro is just any bullet from anything will kill him, but he'll still find the kill on Paulo. It's a double kill, but 18 seconds, that might just be a kill for nothing. He'll find another on a Sexy Cake. Astro, how does he keep doing this? Smoke popped, and he'll find one free kill on the Buck. So much damage to be done by Moringa. PSK will lock one down as the Gumine will take down Astro by the end of the round, and Liquid played us absolutely perfectly. All the utilities have been set down, even with the damage done by the IQ. So little HP. I mean, he shouldn't have survived that long, right? But Gumine's perfectly placed in your default positions.
Yeah, no, that was great play by Astro. It just wasn't enough. And a bit better, more controlled roam play by Liquid that time, partially because they were able to find positions where they could stay for a long period of time, and FaZe didn't do a good enough job of pushing them out or clearing them out early. You saw, for example, how long Astro was able to hang out in Reading Room, and they knew he was in there, I think. So just their inability to kind of clear out a lot of that middle floor, while Liquid was able to kind of do what they needed to do that time in terms of staying in those positions, keeping them from being able to get the top-down control that they needed, just led to a much, much better result than we saw when Liquid, for example, was trying to attack that top floor and just wasn't able to do it very successfully through the holes in the floor. But they get to go back to bar now, so they were able to at least defend bar and kitchen. They go back to bar. If they can win this and tie it up, then they're just going to have to either go back to reading or kitchen again. And I kind of wonder if they might just go back. Well, I guess they can't go back to kitchen, so they'll have to win reading at that point. And we'll see if they can pull it off. Not too many changes here, other than Mav's going to be on the sledge now. We'll see how that works out. There is some extra denial of getting through walls and things like that with the Thatcher band. Remember, there was Kaid and Mute in being played from FaZe. Now it's going to be Mute and Bandit being played from Liquid instead. They want to do something similar to what FaZe did. But what I want to see is if they over-roam this time or not, because that was definitely the big problem last time for them, was over-roaming a bit. But they did manage to pull it off, so credit to them on that.
Yeah, they remove the Kaid in this case to run the Mute plus the Smoke as well. We still had still had the Bandit in the previous round being played, but I wonder how they'll play on the defense in this one, because they're setting up all the Mute jammers. Bit of damage done. No, so very close to nailing Sexy Cake there. You have to really be careful of the window from Piano. It's done too much work for what it's worth. It's just super simple window to expect people on it, but it just has, there's so much damage that gets done through it. Astro's just trying to detect as much utility as possible around here. Still, a single Heart Breacher being run by FaZe Clan, so they can afford to run the Lion and the IQ, and not just afford one of them to have the Habana alongside Eunice Thermite.
Yeah, I mean, you can do all you want to try and get rid of those Mute jammers and Bandit batteries, but if you don't end up with a Hard Breacher left alive, it's not going to make a huge difference here in cracking this. But this just seems to be the case. Without the Thatcher, they're just going to have to do things the hard way. Nesk does at least get stopped by the first E1D, so I'm always glad when they use one early at least, just so one gets used. But Mav, nice grenade onto PSK. Oh, there we go. Always ironic to see the Jaeger get killed by a grenade, but Astro following that up onto the Mute means a C4 off the board, so that's a good start. You still, of course, got Paolo with his, and we did see how impactful that was the first time they defended Bar.
Liquid really don't want to give away at least 1 point to FaZe Clan in this matchup here. I mean, we've seen how the back and forth between Liquid and FaZe in the previous season affected Liquid by the end of it. And that's really how they couldn't qualify. I mean, FaZe were so close to making it themselves, and it got down to the final matchup of the season between them to see who qualifies for the region. Ion to drone in on the Zofia. They'll find the bomb here, so that's already known. It's not really the biggest problems. E1D will be popped, so we'll spot the Valkyrie in the back. There's also the drone that I'm not sure if still alive.
Top of the wall being open means the C4 could come over it if they start to go for that bar approach.
Oh, this is great, though. Yuna is able to open up the walkway into the backstore, into the freezer itself. He'll go in for the plant. E1D will get popped. There's smoke, but Nesk from below doing the expected. Second one from Paulo, actually, finding the kill on Cameraman. So it turns into a 3v3, but the Fuser is Not going to go down just yet. Mav will find the kill on Moringa, but the flank from Nesk here can just prove so deadly. He'll find one, and that's the one he needed to get. And it turns into 2v1, all up to Ion as Liquid are posed to take this one round and make it a 5-5. There's not much time left. There's no nitro cells as well to use, but Nesk can just shut things down. The Zofia of Ion just has no clue where his opponents are. It's going to be sandwiched here between two players. And Nesk will find the kill. Ion to go down. All down by Liquid. Again, on the defense, they lose players early on, and yet, even with that, they're still able to bring it back. Yeah. And I don't even know how this is just continues to happen.
Good trades, and it is funny to see the Bandit with 4 batteries still in his pocket. Just using his MP7 instead and C4 to do all the work. So, well played that time. Again, they're just finding that balance on the roam. They did lose kind of maybe too many people early on that roam, but the fact they were able to come back, especially with Nesk being able to find that angle, and the C4 also stopping the first attempt at the plant from the Thermite, those plays just stopping diffuser, and forcing them to come pick it up again, absolutely cost them around. It wasn't necessarily just on time, it was the fact that they didn't know where the last 2 people were left alive because it was 1v2. So nicely done by Liquid tying this back up. Now we'll see who's going to take it to match point as they're forced to go back to reading. Having won the last 2 rounds in a row, they still could have gone to mining, but does not seem either team really wants to play that. We will see a Legion this time as well. Not too much change up on the attack side. And they're going to have to set this up still, again, a little bit top heavy on their defense. You see Nesk, for example, setting up some barricades so they can still play that balcony side. That cocktail balcony side definitely seems to be getting a lot of play, both for the bar bomb site as well as the reading bomb site. It just seems to be a big favorite in terms of holding things off on those long angles, which is funny because in theory the attackers more often have the advantage in long angles depending on who you're playing against, but it just seems that particular one is very difficult for the attackers to really get much ground on. You remember when you used to be able to get a lot more angle from the skylight onto that court sort of before it got rearranged? That rearrangement seems to have done a lot for that. You know, we have the advantage of the new balcony on the other side, the cigar side, and you're like, oh cool, the attackers have a new way to drop down easily, get some more access, but it's completely counterbalanced by that cocktail side, and good on the Ubi map designers for really revamping this map very nicely.
Oh yeah, I got to meet the guy that actually did this, made this rework basically alongside the team in Milan, and he tells me like, yeah, I've been working on map redesigns recently for the UB team in Montreal. I was like, huh, which map did you work on? And she's like, oh, New Cafe. I'm like, oh, please, thank you.
Yeah.
You're a god and savior.
Yeah, we'll see how those future revamps go as well. But in the meantime, this is getting close to one of these teams taking it. But again, this is how you would expect it to be tied up.
This angle here from Moringa, we've seen this used quite a few times by Liquid specifically, just to hold on to the secondary hatch that drops you into the cigar balcony. So it's definitely been a strong point for them, but it hasn't really netted much for them so far.
Yeah, this is definitely going a little bit slower this round. Liquid not necessarily over-peaking it, trying to play them a little more carefully. The line used to help get a bit more of that map control. Give him a little bit more of a safe entry. It's not a long window like it used to be, but it did get him into this position where he's about to get into this fight and ultimately win it. Poor Sexy Cake going down. That is a C4, no longer in use.
Yep, and that's an entire flank now opened up just as Liquid are starting to find some sort of footing in the matchup by tying things up. Now, we've seen them even in the previous matchup, or previous round, just trying to hold on for dear life, and that's Nesk to try and fight, but he bites off a bit more than he can chew, and unsure of how much HP Yuna has. Still will fall. That's 2 now eliminated, so Nesk can't do the magic he did in the previous round and keep his team alive. FaZe really looking good here. Moringa still trying to contest. Mav opening up holes from the top, and Lion using up his E1Ds. He'll find another kill. Cameraman, wonderfully done. That's a 2K for him in the round. Moringa last alive inside of reading the site itself. He hears people around opening things in, but it's a flawless round from Mav and FaZe Clan, and that's 6 rounds on the board, allowing FaZe to guarantee a minimum of 1 point at the end of the day. And you've seen almost every single one of these rounds just has not been a round where a diffuser gets set. The instant someone wants to go for a plant, they just get shot. And this is a pretty stark contrast to other regions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last time they played Reading, FaZe was able to win it, so that's 2 for 2 for attacking that bomb site. Now they get to go to a bomb site they actually were able to win previously. I think there's a strong chance this goes to a tie. I mean, assuming Liquid again doesn't overextend themselves and lose so many roamers like they continue to do, it could be a big difference. And it makes me wonder, when you have situations where you're overextending yourself as a roamer, there's a couple possible causes. One, just maybe overconfidence on some of your roamers in terms of their ability to take these gunfights, like we saw Nesk biting off more than you could choose, as you put it. Not having enough intel to be able to play as confidently as he wanted to. He's just sitting there playing very cautiously and sneakily in the midst of the Lions. And in doing so, just getting himself killed and only doing half damage to the Thermite. The other thing that could be causing it is just miscommunications. They're not doing maybe a good enough job of communicating the positions or mentally modeling the positions of where the attackers are well enough so that the roamers can play smartly in terms of how they choose to take their engagements or pull back from them or even accidentally run in to the attackers. And now, with a Lion and a Dokkaebi in play here, this is like FaZe trying to put all the nails in the coffin with a nail gun at this point, trying to close this out with a win in their favor because, of course, a draw, not great for either team, but better than a loss.
It's something, but by the end of the season, it really will start to weigh heavily on whichever team gets that draw. We saw the same exact thing happening in the previous season, and even if you look at it before, in Season 8, the qualifiers to get to Rio, still a similar thing, and that's why you'll see that big Dokkaebi, the small Dokkaebi, I guess, at the end of it, being picked up by FaZe to run alongside the Lion. So that's a pretty cool pick to see, but it makes a lot of sense, and it'll net something for Mav as he finds Paulo, takes a lot of damage in the engagement. It's a big kill, not only on Paulo himself, but the fact that it's a Kali.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a nice play early on, but again, maybe overextending themselves. Mav being low doesn't help, and he gets finished for it, but Nesk still takes quite a bit of damage. And Lion just stops him in his tracks.
When are we going to rename that E1D to the Roar?
Right? I still think that was a missed opportunity.
Exactly. It's such a missed opportunity.
Well, maybe they will. We had that big renaming that one time where it renamed everything, all the gadgets and everything.
It's like the placeholder names.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a hilarious time.
Just some good insight behind the scenes. Well, 1 for 1 in terms of kills here, but the Buck being off the board, I think is actually a bit more of a problem than the Kaid being taken off the board, assuming his Electric Cause would use. Astro, very risky holding that position, but Nesk takes down Ion in the meantime.
Cameraman will at least be able to refrag and turn it into a 3v3. HP pools are pretty equal between the two teams, and yet another call will come out. No, that's a hack here from Astro, so both logic bombs have already been used, which is not great, really, when you're looking at it.
Well, you still got some roars left. So there is that.
Oh, no, not a single one left.
Oh, wow, they have really overextended themselves to get, in terms of utility, to get those 2 kills. This might actually work out in Liquid's favor in this 3v3 here because they've killed some very important operators in terms of destruction and ability to grenade, because both of them have different forms of grenades. And then a nice good smokes are still in play, though, from Astro, and that might be a big factor later on. But they're going to have to contest against some flexible, decent operators with good guns and have to play with either the DMR or the CZ. Imagine here, or maybe the SMG-11, I suppose. But, or 12.
It's the CZ-75 in this case, though. But yeah, your point still stands. You still have to be sure of what to do here for your Thermite. Lion just locking things down. Oh, cameraman, what a shot! He finds the head of Sexy Cake, but it gets dropped in the back. He's still down on the floor, but he won't be picked up. Fire in from Astro with the CZ-75. Zuna will ingress, find 1 kill, and Yuna for the 2K to win it out for FaZe Clan. That's all they need. It's round 12 to go their way. 7-5 victory, a close matchup between the 2 big giants and titans of Latin America. FaZe Clan will emerge victorious, but just by a hair. Astro and Cameraman having to put 12 frags each on the board. Man, this was a real tussle.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was as close as it should be, right? It was exactly what you would expect from a situation like this and how it should have gone down. But obviously, there's either got to be a draw or a winner. In this case, the winner at FaZe Clan. Doing very well, though, but they definitely were. You could tell the pressure when they're bringing out the Dokkaebi and the Lion in the last round to try and help close things out. And those were 2 of the last remaining operators out of the 3. So at least they kept them alive for a while. Managed to get a kill with the gun at the end as well from the Lion. So pretty good. Again, Liquid they're taking too many fights they don't win. That's what it came down to, and because obviously plants weren't a big thing in this, and time wasn't necessarily a winner either. It was just down to kills.
Was there any effect of the fact that Moringa is a newcomer, quote-unquote, to the team and having to play with him compared to Zig and
I mean,
Comfy?
Zig plays way more passive, for example, right?
Sure.
So whereas Moringa was playing a little more aggressive, so you do have that contrast. I'm sure some roles shifted around as well. For example, like Sexy Cake playing on Habana. I don't feel like I remember him playing a ton of Habana in the past, so I'm sure they've changed it around a little bit, but overall, I still think Liquid is very, very strong.
We'll just have to see what they do. And the next time they play, and actually to confirm, the next day they're playing is, well, June 21st in a couple days. So that's on Friday night for people who are not sure yet. We're doing the double play days per week. So it's a lot of stress for everybody involved in it, including the players. But it just means that there's Siege on 24/7. Liquid next time will play against Team 1. This is going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah,
to
especially
see.
after what we saw from Team 1 earlier.
All right, well, FaZe Clan end up with the victory. Next up is Ninjas in Pajamas versus Red Devils. We'll see you in just a bit.